my fellow comic book collectors, it's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Wednesday video where I answer your questions. I was just digging. You should see the mess that I've created. For so many of the answers required to show some pretty cool comics, so I had to do a bit of digging. A bit annoyed with my own collection at the moment because it's just like, man, I need bigger space. I need maybe a huge warehouse or something like that. It's getting a little hard to manage. So let's get into the questions. Enough complaining. First question comes from Cayman Jack. Question for next week's show. Can you show any truly rare or golden or platinum age books, for example, low census count, sought after books, sought after, and books that are just never come up for auction? It'd be cool to see some unique, rare books. Okay, so I got a handful of books that I'll show that are all really low census count. When I say low census count, I mean under 30. And some of these are way below that. Okay, so the first one is Man of War, and I believe the census count is 4. So very low census count. Hard book to find, rarely seen. I saw it once in auction and once on my comic shop. Those are the two places that I saw it. And yeah, so basically, you know, rarely comes up. Some of these books that you'll see on this that I'll show are gonna be ones that you see maybe once every 5 to 10 years kind of level. So this is Man of War number 2. That's the first appearance of the ferret, by the way. And this next one has 13 on the census. This one actually you see a little bit more commonly, strangely, even though it only has 13 on the census. It's the first story appearance of Hitler, so kind of a cool book. So this is Amazing Mystery Funnies Volume 2, number 9. Just a one that you do see, but it's still a really rare book. Yeah, it's one of those weird ones that's rare, but it's findable, strangely. And next one is one that I think I only know of 4 existing copies. This is my coverless copy of it. If you even look on Go Collect, they don't even show the cover because it's one of those rare books. So this is Triumph Adventure Comics number 1. It's the first appearance of Nelvana, kind of a key Canadian character, and it's a Canadian white as well. Any of the Canadian whites are going to be super rare. Really low census counts for the most of them, like less than 5 usually. Okay, this next one also has only 4 on the census, and it's Christmas Comics number 6. Insanely rare. I've never seen this come up for auction. I only got it from my comic shop. They had it up and I just grabbed it instantly because you just don't see it very often. So this is the only copy I've ever seen for sale. So in last 10 years. So maybe it's sold other times, but yeah, it's really rare. 4 on the census. It's a bit of a thicker book. It's one that you would get graded though if you have it, because it is a pretty pricey book. It's just incredibly rare. One that was also used in Destruction of the Innocent. Okay, next one is, now there's English versions and French versions of this. This is another Canadian book. It's La Grande Notre Tour, and this is like a French version of Is This Tomorrow? And it's in French, it translates to When Is It Our Turn? But really rare. This was a giveaway book during the early 50s. Just a really late 40s, early 50s, I should say. And just really rare. I think there's only 3 or 4 of these I've seen. There's actually one right now on eBay. It's in really low grade and they want a couple thousand for it. So just a hard book to find, really hard book to find. So those are some rare ones, some unusual ones. I hope you enjoyed that. uh, I have a, like, it's weird. Like, I'll go through my comics, and I actually was just kind of checking what the census counts on some of them are. Some that you would think are rare have like census counts of like 20 to 30. But if you think about like a lot of the Batman or the superhero stuff like Superman, like the Marvel ones, they have census counts of 50 to several hundred. It's like, so, I was trying to show stuff that's a little bit more obscure. There's not too many hero related ones that are really truly rare. And yeah, I had to check a bunch of censuses. But these ones are the ones that I could find that were pretty obvious that they're really rare. There's others in my collection that probably would fit the bill as well. I just would have to, just don't know how rare they are. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the time, once I get a book, then I sort of ignore it, and I might not even know that it's actually something that, oh wow, hey, that was rare. So yeah, so, but I hope this was a good answer. Okay, next question comes from Lyle Hobson. Can you briefly touch on Warren magazines such as Eerie Creepy and as foreign issues from UK, France, and other places outside of the United States? How scarce are they really to find, and how many were printed for foreign readers? I'm told foreign copies were not returned but destroyed. I'm not sure about that last part, about if they were not returned but destroyed. A lot of the times with any of the Warren books, either in the United States or abroad, they were basically they were put on the newsstands. And generally what happens with the newsstands is they would have like either a return policy where they would be like, become remainder copies and then destroyed at the publisher, or they would be destroyed on site. But generally, the process is usually that you return it to the publisher and get, some credit. So I that's why I'm a little bit doubtful that they were destroyed on spot. It just sounds kind of weird. But a lot of them were destroyed. So if you look at American print runs, they were generally, like if you look at Creepy Eerie, for example, or Famous Monsters, or any of those ones, the print run was around 100,000 to 200,000. So fairly big print run. Now, of that, about 60,000 to 100,000 were ones where somebody actually purchased it. Okay, so about half, a little bit less than half. Now, of those ones that went to the newsstand, a percentage of them would get returned. About 20 to 50,000 of that 200,000 would get returned. And then another 20 to 40,000 just unaccounted. They don't know what happened to them. It's kind of weird. But that's on typical any book from Eerie, Creepy, Famous Monsters, Vampirella, whatever. That's typical American rates, okay, of returns, prints, runs, and so forth. Now, the way I always think, and this as a Canadian you'd probably kind of relate to, is if an American book has like 100,000 published with American variant, then the Canadian price variant is usually 1/10 of that, because we have 1/10 of the population. Well, the same goes for UK or French or whatever other country. It's usually a percentage of, what the market would be. So usually they would kind of print based on the size of that local market. And that's kind of the best way to see it. So if 100,000 are printed in the US, maybe in the UK, UK has about like a fifth of the population. Well, then, maybe 20,000 were printed in the UK. That's kind of the way I would do the analysis. Similar to Germany or France would be similar population numbers. They were also printed in Japan and other countries. I actually have a few that I'll just show. Here's some random ones that I brought. I actually have 4 boxes devoted to actually more, 5 boxes devoted to foreign warrants, maybe more than that actually. Okay, well, a bunch of boxes devoted to foreign ones. I just pulled out one. This is a Swedish one. The Swedish ones would be a little bit more rare, just because the population, again, population size. This is chalk, which is kind of like creepy. And then we got, this is an Italian creepy. And they would do different covers, which was kind of the cool thing about these foreign editions. That's Uncle Creepy on the cover there. And then we got another Italian one, another Italian creepy. Kind of a cool cover, actually. And we have some French Eerie. Now these would have the same covers as the American editions. This would be the same cover as an American version, but the numbering would be different. We have Eerie number 10. This is another French one. And then we have some French vampirellas. And these were, the only difference between the French ones generally and the American ones, and the reason I brought this one is because it's open, is obviously it's all in French, but in the French ones, you get like these photos as well. So it would have the regular, regular stories. You'd see the regular stories, but then they would also have this kind of like printed, almost like a combination of Vampirella plus Famous Monsters, if that makes sense. So you get kind of a combination thing. I mean, but it would have like the regular Vampirella stories as well. And they would have sometimes their own features from France as well. So for example, this one has this little French cartoon like this, which wouldn't have been in the American versions. So, some cool little localization that they had for these French ones, and for some of the other ones, they did similar stuff. So yeah, so that's French Vampirella number 9 and French Vampirella number 10. So yeah, so just some some different ones. And one cool thing is they always had back issues. This was a very Warren thing where you could order the back issues. So yeah, so there's no place where you can find the exact numbers. The only place that I could find exact numbers were for the American editions. So as I said, the only way to really kind of guess would be to use the percentages for those countries. I hope that helps. I'm sorry I can't give a definitive answer. I did look. I did a lot of research, but couldn't find anything. Okay, next question comes from Brian LCS. Any tips to share for any SEO tips to share for YouTube? Okay, so here's some marketing tips for YouTube. Take some notes here. One thing, I actually don't do the best marketing for my own YouTube channel, but I do a lot of marketing for other people's YouTube channels, for my clients. One of the things that you can do if you're trying to market, like this is something that I actually do for this channel, but, and you can, best practice, okay? So if you're gonna upload a video, one of the mistakes that people make is they automatically upload it when it goes live instantly. That's a mistake. Do not make your video live for at least 24 hours. Okay, so wait 24 hours before it goes live. I always schedule out my videos the day before. So this video, I'm recording it literally a day before I'm going to post it. So the idea is this, that the algorithm on YouTube will actually try to find an audience based on what it can. It'll do an analysis of the video. It'll actually kind of scan the video and it'll look for copyright things and all this kind of stuff, but it'll look for things for an audience for that video. So it needs time to kind of process all the data within the video. So generally it needs 24 hours. I've seen it work still within 12 hours, but generally you want to give it as much time, the better, okay? So I recommend 24 hours. The other thing is, SEO is generally about keywords. And if you try to title your video generally the two things that people click on are based on the title of the video or the thumbnail. Okay, and generally what'll happen is if you try to optimize, do like SEO title, which is like keyword, 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 that won't do so well on YouTube. There are times when it can work. For example, like if you're doing like how-to videos, like how to get my video ranked on YouTube, that's actually a very popular search query. And if you title your video that, uh, generally, you'll get a certain amount of clicks because your title matches the search, right? But a better title is how do you get your YouTube video ranked in 5 minutes or less? Something where you're making it a little bit more clickbaity, like something a little bit more exciting. One of the ways that I do that, if I try to come up with more of a clickbaited title, is what I'll do is I'll use ChatGPT. I'll take my title, that my kind of working title, I'll put it into ChatGPT, and then I'll say, hey, give me a viral video title based on this theme, on this title. And then it'll come up with 10 so titles. I'll pick ones that I think would be, I would click that if I saw that as a title. So that's one of the things. It's really important to get that click-through rate on your videos. So remember, the way the YouTube algorithm works is it's showing your videos. It will try to find that audience. But if the audience that it tries to show it to doesn't click it, then it'll actually demote that video. It won't actually show that video to that audience again. What'll end up happening is if you make the video more clickable, where it's clickbaity, generally what'll happen is you'll get a higher click-through rate, and YouTube algorithm will reward you by showing it to, like, suggesting it to more people, because they want to show things that are more relevant, right? So that's one thing, having that title that's clickbaitable, but also having the thumbnail is something that can really convert people to clicking the video. So you can do like the crazy expressions, like all that kind of thing as the thumbnail, and generally you'll get more clicks. It's the Mr. Beast way of getting click through. The other thing you can do is have a woman as your cover, as your thumbnail. If you look at Jerry the Jitterbug, sorry to call you out, Jerry, but he'll use a lot of sexy girls in his thumbnails. He'll get more click through because of that. There's like studies that have been shown that if a woman is in the thumbnail, the videos will get about 10 times as many clicks. So having a sexy girl really does help the algorithm and gets that click through for you. Now, where true SEO comes in handy for YouTube is in the description. Generally want to use hashtags, and you want to use the keywords in your description. You can have up to 5,000 characters in your description. So generally what you're going to do is you're going to put a description with saying, hey, Golden Age comics, comic community, market, comic market, all these kind of keywords, and repeat them a few times to kind of, target the keywords. Actually, the interesting thing about my channel is I kind of do SEO naturally because I don't even think about it. I just sort of kind of put it in there without really thinking that I'm doing that. Like, if you actually search for Golden Age comics and then video, like on Google, and you go Golden Age comics, it'll actually, if you do the video search on Google, you'll actually see a bunch of my videos there, because I make so many videos about Golden Age comics, but also I kind of optimize my videos for that keyword. Just not even thinking about it, but I just naturally do that. So the point is, like, that can really get you some traffic if you target sort of keywords that people would search. For example, if you can do the same with Spider-Man or Batman, like key characters, like really, when you think about SEO, it's all about keywords. So generally want to target those keywords that are most commonly searched. So people are interested in more modern stuff. So they'd be interested in, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, whatever is kind of the topic of the day. and then you kind of put that into your description. Maybe kind of if you can get it into the title as well, where it's still clickbaitable, that's good. The other thing is within your YouTube settings, you can actually create keywords that are associated to your video. There's actually a place for that in the settings. Other settings you want to set would be that you want to make sure that the videos are set for entertainment, that they're set for adult audiences, not 18 plus, not that you say that it's 18 plus content, but that is set for adult audiences. If you set it for like where it's children friendly, I know it sounds like the right thing to do where you set it to children friendly. What it'll do is it'll cater your videos to that audience of children. And for comic books, that is a bad idea because generally our audiences are about 35 plus. So yeah, so little things like that kind of make a difference. Other things that you can do that really can build a channel is to do collaborations or to do shout outs. One of the things that I always tell people, and this is not me trying to like get traffic from them, but it's to help them get traffic from me. I'm actually trying to do this with my Friday challenge. Is one of the things that I'm trying to do is build a community. And with the Friday challenge, I use a hashtag that, that allows people to get connected, and that can bring like people that just follow that hashtag a whole bunch of views, extra views. So some channels that might only get 5 views on their regular videos, well, maybe they'll get 20 views on one of the Friday challenge videos. But I also tell them to use like the @ comic collector geek. And the reason I tell them to use that is what happens is it flags me. I get a flag saying, oh, this person has, commented or mentioned you in one of their videos. Well, that's very powerful. Like, I'm not saying that, you need to just spam me, but you can spam other content creators. Like you can do @Sticky Goose or Lunch Money Comics or Comic Tom, some bigger channels where they will maybe check out your video, like where they'll get this thing, and if they like your video or get inspired by your video, maybe they will mention you. And just getting mentioned by a bigger channel can really drive views to your channel. I've seen channels where literally they'll have like maybe 1,000 subs, and some massive channel, like a 1 million subscriber channel, mentions them, and all of a sudden they jump up to 100,000 subs. That kind of effect. So really using that @ symbol to kind of shout out bigger channels or connect with bigger channels can really be a way to boost your channel and get much more engagement. So those are some tips. I actually teach courses on YouTube marketing and how to like build channels on YouTube. They're like 2 to 4 hours long, those courses. So yeah, I figured that's enough tips for now. I don't want to bore people with SEO stuff, but yeah, if you want to learn more, reach out to me. I'll give you some tips. Okay, next question comes from Keston Old School Comics. Alan, you said you slowed down in terms of buying comics. At what point were you the most aggressive when it comes to buying comic books? So around 2018, I was super aggressive about buying comics. I pretty much got most of my, like majority of my Silver Age, Bronze Age, and Copper Age and Modern keys all done within like 1 to 2 years, from maybe 2016 to 2018 era. Maybe up to 2020 at the kind of end of it where I was still buying a lot. So that 2 to 4 year period, I was buying a lot of comics. I'm not saying I don't buy a lot of comics now. I'm just, I was like buying a lot back then. And every so often I'll have sort of like binge buys where I'll buy a whole bunch of books and then I'll be like, what the heck did I just do? But I was very consistently buying a lot back then. And I really did complete all the major keys within a very short amount of time. My collection prior to, let's say, 2014 was kind of mediocre, to tell you the truth. It was a complete Warren collection, and I had a few, like I had maybe like about 15 long boxes of just random stuff that was from the 90s. But it wasn't what you see today with all the golden age. I really didn't have much or any golden age back then. I just sort of been getting into it gradually more and more. And over the last, let's say, 7 years, I've really built up 90% or more of the golden age in my collection. So really, like, I don't know. I am slowing down. Actually, for once, my credit card bill is something that I can manage. Like, I'm actually like beginning to have a bit of stability financially in terms of how much I've spent. So I have slowed down. I've been a little bit better lately, more managing the finances a bit better. But earlier this year, I was a bit bad. I have these moments where I go a little bit wonky and I buy a whole bunch of stuff. So I did say I am slowing down. I have actually slowed down. But I'd say that I was most aggressive around that time where I sold my big house, had this massive 8,000 square foot home. And once I got out of that mortgage that was just draining me all the time, I kind of went crazy. So that was probably the worst time in terms of just buying a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so hopefully that answers that. Okay, next question comes from JSS Brooklyn. By the way, JSS Brooklyn is nominated for Best Community Supporter. Okay, Best Wrench, basically. If you can, please vote for him. He's a good guy and definitely deserves to win. So that's on the CBCA Awards. So check that out. And what are your favorite seasonal covers for holidays? Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, summer, July 4th, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Election Day, plus any ones I missed for US and Canada. Okay, so generally, JSS, what I do is I'll do like cover challenges, like just mentioned the Friday challenge. I'll do challenges for each one of those when those things come up. So you can watch my old challenges for some of those, but I will show a few right now. Not that many because my room's already just a disaster from what I just did in order to get these other books, but I will show you a few to kind of be nice. Okay, so we got Lois Lane, number 1. This is a great Halloween cover. So Halloween. Then we got Archie's Love Showdown. I just recently picked this up. This is a great Valentine's Day comic book cover. Okay. And then we got, this is the first appearance of Henry, by the way. Henry, number 1. This is a great New Year's one. This is a New Year's cover, like where they're kind of doing the trumpets. And I showed this recently, but I'll show it again, is Captain Marvel 42. And this is just a great Christmas cover. CC Beck cover. It's a great one. And then we got Election Day. Well, the only one I could think of is this one, where you got Wonder Woman for President. It's my actual favorite Wonder Woman cover. I just love this Wonder Woman cover. I think it's really cool. Not sure if it's showing that well though. So Wonder Woman for President. So I thought that was a pretty cool one. The other holidays, I do have ones. The one that's actually hardest one to find covers for is not Halloween, Thanksgiving. And St. Patrick is actually pretty hard too. There's not too many St. Patrick's covers. So yeah, but I will do challenges for all of those holidays. And There are a few like Canada Day would be a Canadian one. What other Canadian holidays that we have that are special? We have Victoria Day, but I don't think I've ever seen a comic book cover for Victoria Day. Um, but yeah, and then we have Remembrance Day. Now you will see comics with Remembrance Day covers. Generally, we'll show with a poppy or something like that. So I don't know, but I don't have any handy that I can show. So hopefully you enjoyed the few that I did show. Okay, last question. And this one I had to do a lot of research for. So this one I actually spent a fair amount of time. It took me a few hours to kind of research all these. Um, so this last question is from How's It Boy? I saw this question on Reddit and figured it was perfect for you. What are the biggest golden or silver age keys unslabbed that I could get for $500, condition unimportant as long as they're complete? Okay, so that's actually good that he was precise about saying that they're complete, because you can get pages from some pretty big books for that $500 range, uh, and you can also get the fact that he's saying raw actually really makes the price drop for a lot of these books. So it actually makes it much more affordable when you're getting them ungraded. Um, so yeah, so that actually makes it a little bit more possible to get bigger keys. So you'll find that the ones that I say from the Silver Age are all huge keys, um, but you can actually get better grades with that $500. $500 is actually a fairly substantial amount of money. Okay, so you can get some pretty big keys with $500. In the Golden Age, not so much. It gets a little harder to get the bigger keys, but there are some ones that I will mention, and we'll get right into it. Okay, so first key from the I'll do Silver Age first, is Flash 123. That's the first kind of mention of the multiverse, and it's the first time that you get Golden Age Flash in the Silver Age, and you get the kind of crossover. Big key. It's an expensive book. You'd get a low grade copy. Batman 181, First Poison Ivy. That's another book you can get, maybe in a 3. Then the Fantastic Four 52, First Black Panther. You can get it like a 5.5 or maybe even a 6 in a raw copy for that money. So that's a pretty big key, I think. Black Panther, pretty big key. And then we got FF49, First Galactus. You can get that in a mid-grade as well. Batman 171, the First Riddler. Again, mid-grade you can get. Avengers 8, you can get that in a lower grade, like a 3 maybe. Avengers 4, First Cap in the Silver Age. You can get that in a low grade, like a 2. Fantastic Four 48, First Silver Surfer. You can get that in about a 2 as well. ASM 15, which is the first Craven, you can get that in a 2.5, maybe even a 3.0. Hot Stuff number 1, which is a really cool book, really hard book to find actually. You can get that in a low grade. It's like maybe a 1 or 2 for about $500. Detective 359, the first Batgirl. You can get that in a 3 to 4 range. And then you can get X-Men 12, the first Juggernaut, in about a 4. So pretty good selection of books you can pick up for about $500. And those are all pretty major characters, I would say. There's, maybe you can get a few others. It really depends on what you're looking for. I try to pick some that are a little bit of everything, like cartoon ones and superhero ones. Okay, now for Golden Age. Again, Golden Age is kind of interesting. There's a lot of key first appearances that are just to the moon, right? They're really expensive. Batman 1 is going to be really, really expensive. Even in the lowest grade, it's above that $500 range. But there are a few keys that you can get. But keys in the Golden Age are kind of different than other ages in a way. Like there's a lot of cover buys for the Golden Age where they just say, "Oh, this is a really cool cover," and that's why it's expensive. But I did look at keys for you. You can get the first appearance of Scrooge, which is 4-color 178, for about $500, and you can get that in probably a 2 or 3. You know, you can get United Comics number 120, or sorry, number 21, which is the first appearance of the Peanuts, for about $500. You can get Archie's Madhouse 22 for the first appearance of Sabrina for about 500. You can get Mary Marvel in a low grade for about Mary Marvel number 1, I should say, in a low grade for about 500. You can get Exciting 51, or which is the first appearance, or 53, with the first appearance of Miss Mask and her first cover for about $500. And those are both Alex Schomburg covers, pretty cool covers. You can get 4-color 596, first Turok, like from the Golden Age. You can get 4-color 228, the first Zorro. Those you can get those in mid grades, both of those last two, for about $500. You can get a lot of like cool, like pre-code horror covers in that $500 range. They'd be low grade, but you could get them in that $500 range. So they'd be like 1.0s if they're really cool cover, but you can get really cool ones that are like Atlas. I was talking about Atlas on a previous video, where I'm always shocked how inexpensive Atlas books are, and they have really awesome covers. But you can get them for like $100 to $200. So $500 actually can buy you a fair amount of stuff in terms of buying bigger books. One of the tricks that I do is I do prefer graded books. And one of the tricks that I do is I'll actually try to find graded books for cheap. And the way I do that is using restored books. So when you get a restored book, the price can really be just a fraction of what the blue labels go for. And that's a way of getting a nice presenting book for cheap. And that can be a pretty major key. For example, my Phantom Lady 17, that book goes for around $100,000 to $200,000. Huge book in the grade that I have it. I didn't pay that. No, not even close to that. I paid about 10 to, I think it was 14 actually. I paid for my copy because it's restored. When you buy restored, you're paying a fraction of the cost. So you can get a high grade copy, and actually the higher the grade, the more restoration impacts negatively the value of the book. So that's one way that I buy these bigger books, where I do try to save a bit of money. So if you get into that restored idea, you can actually even get better deals than buying raw. Generally raw, you're getting a lot of spec, or not spec, but you're getting a lot of potential to go wrong, like because there's like when it's ungraded, especially in the Golden Age, a lot of the time you don't know if restoration has been done to that book, if there could be a centerfold missing, there could be pieces missing, things cut out, and that can really destroy the value of that book. So having it graded just kind of ensures that you know exactly what you're getting. So when you're buying raw from the Golden Age, generally you'll get a bit of a deal, but at the same time you might be buying a problem. So I kind of like the idea of buying restored. I already know what the problem is. I already know that it's restored, and I'm already baking in that savings. So it's just a way to think. I hope you like some of the ones that I chose. You'd have to be more specific about what kind of big books that you would like go after? Would it be first appearances? Would it be cover? Would it be like, and what kind of genre would you be interested in? Especially Golden Age, there's just so many genres like romance, horror, whatever. So I'd have to be a little bit more specific. So I tried to give a variety pack for you, but there are a lot of choices with $500. Actually, $500 even in the Golden Age can buy some pretty cool stuff. Okay, so that is it for this Wednesday. But if you have a question you want answered, put it in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer it. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.